America is a Christian country. When I was young, growing up there, born and raised there, by the way, we never questioned it. It permeated society, the city, our neighbors, our friends. We all knew or had a feeling who was Christian and who wasn't. Crosses everywhere on the walls, on necklaces. And it's not just Texas, other states, that I went to also had that same thing. America is a Christian country, and just because you deviate from the faith, you do not become a Christian country. Although it increasingly, because of immigration and because of cultures and countries that don't assimilate to the way of life of America, it's beginning to feel increasingly like a non-Christian country because of the non-assimilating diversity that we have. I don't say it's bad. You can't really say it's bad or anything because all cultures are respectfully different and diverse in their own ways. But the founding fathers of America, how many of them do you think were Christians or believed in philosophies that were founded in Christian ideals or deviations from Christian ideals? And I haven't put too much thought or research into this because I was immersed in different churches in the US, in Texas, and then in Maryland. But I knew that America was a Christian country and was founded on Christian principles. And I know it's not just me who feels that way, but I'm sure a lot of people do as well. A lot of other countries also call America a Christian country. It is what it is. Whether or not it is one, I don't think it's arguable at this point, as long as the demographics are the way they are, but that's increasingly changing. And when you have a different influx or change in demographics, you are going to bring along with it cultures from those countries, one of them being religion. And if the host country's demographic does not sustain and reproduce and continue the bloodline, then you're going to see your culture being destroyed, eroded, and disappeared from all facets of your culture, from the fashion to the music to the food, and yes, also to the religion. So that is a scary thought, but it is what it is. If the culture that is the host culture does not reproduce, they don't multiply, then the cultures that were brought in, intentionally or not, are going to multiply. And they're going to replace you. And there's nothing you can do about it. Because you refused to have children for the convenience of the way your lifestyle is and was. And your refusal to change, to adapt, and to bear on yourself the inconveniences of having children for a short period of time, the inconveniences, when they're young. But as they get older, of course, it becomes easier, but you don't want to deal with the first few years of each child you have. And that's kind of a consequence, which is your culture getting destroyed. And you as a people becoming disappeared in your own geography. And it is not something that you can blame others for, even though there are people who are actively bringing in people who do not assimilate to your culture and your customs and your traditions, and they're going to destroy you from within. I don't mean that different cultures and diversity is bad. I do think it is good if that diversity believes in the principles you believe in. Better if it's the same religion as you. Better if it's closer in culture as you and easily assimilatable, if that's a word, as you. That's what you want. You want people to blend in. You don't want people to stand out to the point where it is oil and water mixed together. They don't get along. Why are you doing that? It doesn't make sense. Better a culture being destroyed than an economy being destroyed. Because at least with an economy destroyed, you still have the core host culture intact. But with a culture destroyed, you could have a new economy, but you have an unrecognizable country. And you might have to change your name to another language of the country. Like, you cannot be called the United States of America anymore. You might have to be called something else. It's scary to think about that, but there are people who are actively pushing for that. I'm not saying that's a good or bad thing. It's all a matter of perspective. I think that I like to go to Japan and Korea. I want to see Japanese people in Japan. I want to see Koreans in Korea. I come to Taiwan. I want to see Taiwanese people in Taiwan. I go to the USA. I want to see Americans in America. Now, what does that mean, Americans in America? For me, it means a majority Caucasian population with a modest amount of other races in ratio with the main race. I don't mind seeing brown and black and red and orange and green and all the colors of the rainbow in the USA. Yellow, myself, right? I don't mind seeing them in the USA, of course. Of course, in our US history, Texas history textbooks, we know what the demographics were. That's the demographics we should keep. And there could definitely be a decrease in that demographic, the main demographic, if the minority demographic adapts to the main demographic. That's all I'm saying, is that every country deserves to have a supremacy of their own. Right? A cultural supremacy of their own. It's not a racial supremacy. It is a cultural supremacy, okay? And it transcends skin color. It transcends bone structure, DNA, cellular level, and that's okay. Principles of freedom, the different freedom principles, freedom of faith, freedom of speech, freedom to bear arms, as long as it is following the law, freedoms, right? That we all take for granted in the US. Now, I'm currently not in the US right now. I'm considering moving back, but I was there for the first 22 years of my life, from 0 to 22. And I've been away in Taiwan, spent some time in Beijing. Now I'm back here. And I've been in Asia for the last, I'm 42 now, so 20 years, almost 20 years of my life. And the reason I'm considering moving back is because my children are getting older. One is 4, one is 5, and I am getting older. I don't have as many opportunities as I would if I was in the US, but I work on the internet, so it could be a change of pace if I move back. I want my kids to be cultured and have an American education. I know America seemingly is more and more dangerous, and the climate politically is, I'm not sure if it's the right time to move back and actually raise a family there right now. Texas is where I'm looking at the most. I want to stay in Taiwan as well, because Taiwan is more or less an extremely safe environment. And the more south you go, the seemingly more safe it is, because the less international it is, the more homogenous it is, and the less incidences occur when populations are smaller in terms of accidents that could happen to your children. And that is the biggest priority right now in my life, is how can I bring my children from babies to adults without them getting hurt physically and emotionally and spiritually. So we attend a church in Tainan, or at least my kids currently are there. Right now, the content game is keeping me extremely busy, and I do want to explore different churches. I know that in the past, and even in the present and future, I don't know if I am able to be close to any church, because when you join a church, that is when you need to adapt. right? So joining a small group, having one-on-ones, and being a part of that body. So I'm not sure if I have the ability to invest in my current state of being busy with content from morning till night and not being in a place that I'm happy about right now. So I'm currently a startup in my own eyes, and I cannot afford to invest any attention into any group of people, religious or not. And it's not about the church being bad or the religion being bad. In Taiwanese, a lot of them are Buddhists, or a lot of them are Taoists, or do other types of ancestry worship, which is really huge here. And it's almost March. During March, there are other holidays, in April there are holidays, and the culture more or less is intact because it's a homogenous culture, Taiwanese people. Now in the US, different cultures and diversity, I'm happy, I'm all for that. As long as the culture is intact and assimilated into the main culture. That's all I'm saying. And I think that no matter what color America becomes, it is culturally the same or similar. And that way people can move forward and build up society. Otherwise, it's going to get torn down through arguments and diversity to the point where you cannot recognize your neighbor because you cannot understand what he's saying. It is alien, different aliens living together. How do you talk to each other? How do you communicate with each other? How do you make decisions about things? It's difficult or impossible. So in Taiwan, of course you can make decisions very fast. There's not many people in Taiwan. There's 23 million people last I checked, with a falling population. Now we're bringing in people as well, but I'm also afraid that Taiwan is going to be replaced by other ethnicities that do not assimilate to Taiwanese culture. But hopefully that doesn't happen. Taiwan, I don't believe, is a Christian country. I don't know what to call Taiwan at this point. It is an extremely divisive and divided topic. I think Taiwan is more Buddhist, and I see temples everywhere. Red temples with golden rooftops and gods and goddesses statues inside these temples with incense rising out of these temples. I see it everywhere. That's the culture here, that's how they want to do it. That's fine. I'm not against that. It's their culture. And I don't believe in forcing one culture to adapt and assimilate to the host culture. Okay, I don't believe in that, which is why we should bring in people who are naturally for that and not bring in people who naturally don't conform to the ways of the host culture. It's very important. I cannot stress that enough. The more differences you have, the more conflicts every step of communication is going to be. And the best scenario is if we're all on the same page at a baseline level, at a cultural level. And America is a Christian country. Taiwan is a Buddhist country or an ancestral worshiping country. There's a graveyard that I check out, or a mausoleum. I go there almost every year to see my grandparents and to see my other relatives, my uncle, my other great uncles and great aunts. They are, in the form of ashes now in this mausoleum in Tainan, where I'm at right now. And so I visit them every year. I see their remainings. I talk to them. And even though I'm Christian, I still have a strong spiritual bond with them. And being a Christian in Taiwan, it's very easy. People here are very open to other religions. It's a very religiously tolerant environment. And that's good. And that's how it should be. An environment like Taiwan, where everyone is more or less not in each other's way, and they kind of let you do what you want. Lately, I've been getting very exhausted from the content game. I watch hundreds of content every day in the form of short form and long form videos, also through audio. And I find the entire content landscape being mainly divided into one of two types, AI and non-AI. And in the middle, it's the most unique type of content, which is the videos or images or content in which you cannot tell is AI or not. And that's the most interesting category, because I was scrolling on Instagram the other day. I was like, oh, look at this girl. Okay, look at this girl. She looks like a real girl. She's talking, and as I'm listening to her, 20 seconds, I'm like, huh. At the 15 to 20 second mark, I thought to myself, is this a real girl? I open the comments section and I see people complimenting how beautiful she is or trying to get her attention. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not a real girl. I don't know if the comments were bots or real humans, but I open the channel of this Instagram page and lo and behold, it is an AI page. Out of the hundreds of comments I saw, I think only one of them was onto them, saying like, oh, it's like, because somebody wrote like, oh, do you ever respond to your comments? And then somebody responded saying, no, because she's a bot. Like, that just confirmed my suspicion. Like, dude, this is not a human. This is an AI. Another page on TikTok, millions of followers. Each video is a super high quality video of a dancer, this beautiful female, right? Very dark skinned. Dude, over 3 million, I think she's at 3.1 or 3.3 million. She has so many people watching her videos, millions of views on the videos, hundreds of thousands of views. And nobody knows she's AI, especially if you look at the comment section, nobody knows. But I've seen a few, 2 or 3 TikTok creators who kind of was onto her and knew that she was AI and said that there's other pages, and I checked, yes, there are other pages like that. No one can tell anymore. You know, the video game in the AI space is cooked. This year it's cooked. Last year was the kind of pinnacle. We were rising to the top. And then this year, when January, February hit, that is when AI video was perfected. I think we can all remember, if we look back in history, January 2026 is the month in the year in which video AI was perfected. We are now in the age of perfect video AI, and those who are nitpicking and saying that looks fake are overlooking the 30% fakeness that the AI just overcame in the last year. Maybe this is like the 31st%. But we are now there, okay? And they're nitpicking and they're watching it frame by frame, but no one watches videos frame by frame. I don't know what the heck you're doing. You know it's cooked. And a lot of people are still saying that's slop. It is orchestrated beautifully. It is art. The only slop is the comment that it's slop. It's not. It's beautiful. It's a masterpiece. There are so many AI video masterpieces. Instagram Reels is rich with them. TikTok, filled with them. YouTube, filled with them. It is permeating social media to the extent where more and more normies, non-influencer people are gonna come out of the woodwork, close the comment section, and are gonna start making content instead of leaving comments. And you're gonna get more and more, and we are getting more and more, and I'm very happy, even though it does reduce my views if I don't keep up and adapt, which lights a fire under my ass and challenges me to keep going and keep working hard and keep showing up, but in different ways. I'm not showing up this year like I am last year. AI video is cooked. It's done. It is perfected. There is no point stress testing video AI now. There is no point stress testing image AI because we can perfect any picture we want. there's no point. The only mistakes it's going to make are minor nitpick mistakes. Who cares about that? We've perfected the 99th percentile of images and videos, and now voice-to-voice is the next frontier. Voice talking with AI through camera and or voice is the next frontier in perfecting the AI, or the next area in which AI needs to improve. Because it has improved, it's improving at a slower rate than images and videos are. Because you don't need natural language for images or videos, but you need natural language to give natural language and get natural language from AI. You understand? You're giving human natural language to an AI through sound waves, and then you're getting that AI to turn it into words and then turn it back into sound waves for you with AI natural language. And so the very structure of natural language in the AI infrastructure is getting better, right? And that's just a fun part of stress testing the AIs when you use it for content, because you can't really complain about anything when it comes to video or pictures anymore. So there's nothing to stress test. The only ways now is the ease of learning, and the learning curve needs to decrease. And as AI gets better and advances, the learning curve to know how to use images decreases. To know how to use videos decreases. And the quality, as the learning curve gets slower, the quality gets better. You see, that's the beautiful part of AI, is that it is improving in every facet of itself. And voice to voice, it's the most fun to play with because you never know what you're going to get sometimes. I mean, the structure, the mistakes are still very blatant and very real. And so it's easy to call it out. Whenever it's easy to call out AI for the mess ups, mistakes it makes, it's funner. It's more entertaining to watch and listen to and consume on a sensual level when it comes to content. Because it's funny, it shows just how behind it is. But when it comes to video, it's like, well, we are way past that, my friend. And there are so many platforms now. I think the leading platforms are currently Cdance and Kling, and they're both Chinese platforms. Sora 2 does its thing, Veo 3.1 does its thing. But what I've seen Cdance and Kling come out with have purely blown my mind. I'm not saying you can't make great stuff with Sora 2 and Veo 3.1. Of course you can. I'm just saying, when it comes to the uncanny valley and kind of journeying past the uncanny valley to realistic valley, I think Cdance is there. Kling, I think, still has a way to go in terms of improvement, as well as Sora 2 and Veo 3.1. Sora 2 gets certain things right when it comes to going past the uncanny valley. Veo 3.1 gets certain things right when it comes. Veo, Sora, and Kling have all passed the uncanny valley in certain things. I'm just saying, Cdance 2 is nearly past the uncanny valley in all things. And it's only going to get better. If Cdance 3 comes out, then what's going to happen? I don't know. But there are other models out there. There's Hylol, there's so many. LTX, Grok, which is getting better really fast as well. But Cdance 2 was the first time since ChatGPT images came out where you can make images with natural language, and that was the new thing. It's not the new thing anymore. Natural language can now produce near perfect, if not better than perfect images. Now the new thing is Sea Dance, when that came out, seeing what it was able to create blew my mind in a way that AI has not blown it since ChatGPT came out with images through DALL-E 3. And we're way past that now. And so we are at a point where going forward, I think reacting to content created by Sea Dance 2 is going to be really big. It's already really big. And I think that VO3 is still going to carry on with its trends, and its trends are going to become more and more realistic. Sora 2 trends are also going to be more and more realistic. And when I say trends, I'm breaking it down into influencers across multiple niches of human content breaking into the human content through AI of the same genre, same niche, only it's AI content that have sprouted up each platform. Kling, VO3, Sora 2, Sea Dance 2, all have their own trends. And at any given time, each platform, the trends on each platform, there are so many. To recreate them all would give you a heart attack. It's doable, but it'll give you a heart attack because there's so many of them. And it just goes to show that, dude, it is another era of content creation. And I'm so tired, you know? Hundreds of videos a day, thousands, maybe 10,000 videos a week. I don't know how much I watch because it gets so crazy. I mean, I watch at least 5 to 10,000 videos a week, every month, every year, you know? And so I feel brain dead and brain fried. And I'm having a hard time thinking sometimes. I feel brain fog all the time. And I'm always asking myself, like, dude, why do I always feel like I have brain fog? Like, what's wrong with me? And I know I'm not alone. I think content, for the better part, it is my career. So I do take it as my job. Whether or not I'm on the job or I'm off the job, I am always thinking about content, making content, watching content, listening to content. Like, I create so much content every week. I can't even keep up with how much I make. And I'm tired. It's a treadmill. And the secret is every day when I'm on the treadmill, I am investing a little bit of time into getting off the treadmill. And I'm not completely off the treadmill until I'm completely off of content. And so I think the transition, I've seen others do it, is going from short form to live streaming, or short form to long form. And then if you're live streaming, going from that to horizontal content, or if you're going from horizontal content as a short creator, going from horizontal to live streaming, or going from horizontal to mainstream, trying to do comedy acts and comedy clubs, trying to do Netflix shows. You could really end your career by doing horizontal long-form content. A lot of people have, and they've just kind of stayed there, and they've been able to stay there. They didn't have to go into live streaming. It was always a choice for those successful in horizontal. A lot of creators now who are horizontal came from short form. And so it is a good way to kind of experiment, test, invent, innovate, see what clicks with people and see what clicks with yourself. If you're like me, who's like ever changing, who's always jumping from this idea to that, short form is a good place to start because you can kind of play with a lot of different branding. But it is tiring. You know, I've been in this game since 2019. It is my 7th year. Oh my gosh. 7th year. I thought it was only 5 years. Time flies when you're having fun, but it feels like forever. So sometimes it was harder than it was fun. But I'm grateful that I'm able to do this full time. It's been hard sometimes. And even now, it goes up and down, and I'm having to kind of go through and adapt to, you know, the ups and downs, and it's very hard, you know. So until I'm completely off the treadmill, I am on it, and it is going to be a treadmill until I'm off it. And so hopefully that happens this year or next year, or when I go completely into horizontal long form or into live streaming. A very few percentage of short form creators were actually able to go from short form to mainstream. Very, very small. So small that I could only count them maybe on one hand. Like, that's how little it was. You know? It's wild. And a lot of people are saying like, oh, AI content takes no effort, but that is a complete lie. It is so hard to make good AI content. Just like with any medium of art, you have to learn the language of the medium. You know, how do you speak the language of vertical video AI? It's different than long form horizontal AI, which I think is harder to get views because you're feeding it to a system that shows it to less people. And with short form, you're showing it to more people, and it's easier to kind of get your message out there. But to be monetizable, horizontal long form seems to pay more, as they say. And a lot of people watch YouTube on TV now, and YouTube is one of the biggest platforms for streaming. Period. I'm not just talking about live streamers. I'm talking about like mainstream streaming. So YouTube is a very great place. I think it still has a great future. And, you know, is it ethical to be AI? You know, me being a Christian, you know, America is a Christian country. Is it ethical for AI to use AI? I mean, it's legal to use it. Just because it's legal, does it make it right? I think morality is in the eye of the beholder when it's within the law of the land. And there are many lands, which means there are many limits to legality when it comes to the eye of the beholder of morality. Morality is relative. At a baseline, for most of humanity, morality is not relative. There is a denominator of what we believe and can agree on to be true. Eye for an eye. Treat thy neighbor as I would treat myself. The golden rule. I don't think we can disagree on that. I think a smile is universal. So there are moral things, but when it comes to AI though, in lands with no copyright laws, what's going to happen to the copyrighted material in which the AI was trained on? So that is a very controversial topic because there's so much intellectual property out there. Well, what is IP in 2026 when anything can be recreated by anyone at any time, at any scale, in any way? From any location. It's a ridiculous time to be alive. I think 2026, we could also remember it as the death of intellectual property and how IP does not matter anymore, and that you should just build in the open and evolve in the open, and the speed of evolution is going to get so much faster and already is so much faster when you create intellectual property because you have AI creating it with you. As you feed your intellectual property into the AI, it can create new storylines for you, new designs for costumes for you, new character designs, new personality design, like any design or any creation for content, AI can create an indefinite amount of. And so IP, intellectual property, it's meaningless because I can create something that looks and feels like an intellectual property, franchise, character, brand today. Look and feel just like it. But it is different. Name different. It moves different. You can't identify some facets of it. And I could mix and match it in a way that does not fit into the current spectrum of human expectation, in which you didn't know that it was going to be rearranged in that way. You didn't know this character from that video game was going to be reformed in this way. You can't tell where it's from. So the bottom line, create your own intellectual property, and the more original it is, the more safe you are, and that existing intellectual property, new or old, is meaningless in the legality of it. In legal terms, like no one owns any intellectual properties anymore. Your own face, the character from a video game's face. Nobody owns anything anymore because everybody has been building gradually in the open since social media began. So we kind of shot ourselves in the foot in that regard. And we don't have, of course we have every right to say, no, don't do that, but we cannot stop people from doing that, especially if they have VPNs and they're operating from different parts of the world, and we cannot track down their IP location, their IP address. And so what is intellectual property in this age? What is IP when you can't track IP? Think about that. You just cannot wrap your mind around how mind-blowing this year is at this moment, right now, unraveling before us, and how much crazier it's going to get this year. And how important it is to build your own brand, to build your own intellectual property, your own stories, and not care about whether or not it gets leaked. Who cares if it gets leaked? You know why? Because AI can recreate a better one. With you, of course, if you want to. But that's the beauty of what we have, is like, hey, you see Seed Dance, you see people recreating alternative endings to their favorite TV shows and movies in really brilliant ways. Who said AI did not write that? Who said AI was not an assistant or a collaborator in the extension of the existing IP? So who cares if your shit gets leaked? No one cares. Nobody except you. Because Joe Blow can recreate an extension of your IP better than you with AI. Are you getting it yet? It's not the time to complain. It's the time to create and adapt. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.